Hey, what up, team? It's Joe Mill here, back with Killer Miller Q. Another good cook coming today. And like I just told you a minute ago in our last video, I got a little experiment for us. I'm finally about to bust out this charcoal management basket, and we're gonna try this thing out. We're gonna do us an overnight cook. We got some pulled pork getting ready for the 4th. You know it's gonna be good. I'm curious to see how this is gonna work out. Let's go ahead and take care of the business. Alright, so we 8 months into having this Lone Star offset smoker, and here I am, never used this whole charcoal management basket. So tonight, that's what we're gonna be doing. You're gonna come in here with your boy. We're gonna be doing an overnight cook. I'm actually gonna be putting together some pulled pork for the 4th of July. We got an obligation to go to tomorrow, so I don't wanna be cooking all day on Saturday like I normally do. So what I'm gonna be doing is, I'm gonna be starting this baby all night. I'm gonna be putting it in this basket, and we're gonna see how this thing comes out. Couple things I'm curious about. Hey, I want to see how does it taste as far as my smoke flavor. I know I'm not gonna get the flavor that I normally get with cooking with straight wood, but we're gonna be pretty much layering this thing down with charcoal. I got some King First Professional along with some chunks of pecan that I'm gonna put in here. So I'm curious how that smoke flavor is gonna taste. I'm curious what my bark's gonna look like. I'm also curious what my burn time is gonna look like going through this thing. So we're gonna finally get to test a lot of this stuff up, and you know I gotta come out with a good product on the back end. So first things first, I'm gonna get this big baby up out of the way. I'm gonna go grab this pork butt out the fridge. I'm sure it's not gonna be much that we need to do. Maybe I'm trimming down the fat cap just a little bit or something like that, getting rid of some edges, but one way or another, I'm gonna bring you in and let you see. Right, there it is. So like I said, we wasn't gonna take too much off. I just wanted to kind of bring this thing down a little bit to even out this fat cap layer, so that way it'll actually render out the rest of the way, and I don't got a ton that I'm gonna remove. And also I'm gonna be cooking this baby fat side down, so this is actually gonna be right on the grate. It'll kind of render away on that too, so it'll kind of work as a first layer of defense and kind of a protector. And if I start removing too much fat, this whole thing has got a bunch of muscle fibers. It'll just fall all apart. So we done the hard stuff, which was a light trim, kind of more or less just kind of squaring this thing off. All right, so we got our nice pork butt. You know you got your money muscle on the opposite side of the bone right here. And other than that, what I'm about to do is, my bag just flew away, but I'm gonna be throwing this in a gallon Ziploc bag. And I got about 6 hours before I'm actually gonna start this thing. Like I said, this will be an overnight cook. The only thing I want to do is clean this up, and pretty much I'm gonna be laying it in its slather. So it's almost gonna be like a light marinade, and it's gonna be our star of the show. So this Clevelander mustard sauce, it's actually not like a traditional South Carolina type of mustard sauce. Got a little more sweetness to it. You see that maple mustard as it says on there. He's actually from Ohio, out of the Cleveland area, so I'm gonna be using a combo of his sauce as well as his rub on there. This is gonna act as my slather, and pretty much what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it like a little pre-marinate to let this kind of soak on in there a little bit, and then once we pull it out, I won't have to do anything other than season it all up and get it on the pit. So I'll bring you back once I get it all taken care of. All right, so there it is. Ooh, look at that marbling. All right, we got it on here. I'm gonna go let this hang out in the refrigerator. Like I said, it's got about probably 6 hours. I'm gonna probably kick this thing off roughly around midnight, something like that. And what we'll do from there is let's go ahead and get this basket all set up, so that way we got nothing but smooth sailing when we get it going. All right, team. It's getting dark, as you can see. I got the light on, so we should be just get used to this footage. This is how it's gonna look all night long. We ain't here for the late night. We still getting things prepped up. Like I said, when it comes to this charcoal management basket, I've never used it, so I did start it off just like how I did with the pit. Sprayed it all down inside and out with some Pam, and now we're ready to go. So right over here, I got some pecan wood. Pretty much what I did was I took a split and I broke it down with my Sawzall to make my own little wood chips real quick out of this pecan. So this is what I'm thinking. The way this is set up, and I was kind of looking at it for a little bit, you got your handles here on the side, but you got your air coming through on front and back on this side. So it's gonna be in the cooker facing in either way, with those slits to the side going into the cooker, and that other open side towards the vent where we're going to actually have the air flowing in. We don't want to turn it the other way, which I was initially thinking because I figured it would be easy to kind of grab with the handle and pull it straight out, but then we wouldn't have the airflow flowing in the right directions and it probably wouldn't burn too well. So that's what we're going to be looking like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the biggest, pretty much my largest chunk, I'm going to put it there. I figure that way as I'm midway through the cook and I'm kind of getting it going, I can really get some going. I don't want anything at the very beginning because I know I'm gonna start it off and it's gonna have to get going for a little bit, so I don't want to waste it. Maybe I'll put something little up there. So I'm gonna put one of my big ones here. I got one more decent size one. I'm gonna put it about here. Okay, and I got these small 3 chunks and I'll kind of use them maybe to filter in the way. And I got the small one that I can maybe do something like that. Something like that. So from there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be taking these Kingsford pellets and I'm gonna go ahead and fill this whole basket up. And I'm gonna leave me a little bit of space right here for me to burn 10, 15 briquettes, maybe 10. And those will get red hot in the charcoal chimney. That's what I'll dump in. And then we'll put it on here later on when we get started cooking, let it burn for about an hour or something like that, like we always do, to kind of get it going and nice and smooth with the smoke, and we'll take it from there. I'm gonna fill it up, I'll let you see what it looks like, and then other than that, when we come back, it'll be time to get this baby going. Hey team, so this is what we're looking at. This is pretty much about what I wanted to do. I had that whole 18-pound bag of that Kingsford Professional Charcoal. I barely had took some out of there. I did one little small cook for a steak on the Weber. Other than that, it was a full bag and it took that like it was nothing. My plan was I didn't want to fill this thing all the way up because I figured if you did, the fire would probably be able to jump over these walls pretty easy. So I went with about halfway. That's, like I said, pretty much damn near full bag of that 18-pound bag of charcoal. Luckily, I still had some of those other charcoals in that Weber that wasn't completely dead. Covered up all my little wood that you saw we put in just a minute ago, and I left a little bit of space up here, and this will be where I dump my complete new ones. I'll let them get touching and get them going for a half a second, and I'll plop this baby in. Now, I'm assuming as we slide over, oh, there was some too. I'm gonna use those. I'm probably gonna have to take that top rack out, and obviously that fire management basket is gonna have to come out, and I hope it fits and still sits right here on this shelf. We'll find out in a half a second. Just to give you a peek, fit in there just like a glove. Just took out that top rack, which I actually could have left, but it's all right, it don't need to get beat up today. And other than that, I got rid of my fire management basket, and it's sitting right on up in there. I'm gonna push it right against the back, just like I do the fire management basket. And then when we're ready to get going, I dump those other little ashes in there too. We're just gonna start it right there. I'll see you in about 3-4 hours. All right, team, as promised, I actually fell asleep, got me a little quick one in. We got us some pretty red coals right here. It is 1:45 in the morning, and you see what's happening. That it? One more. There we go. All right. I'm gonna give this just a second to start burning. You see they piping red hot. Those are my little bit of coals that was left in my Weber. I'm gonna give this a second. I'm gonna go ahead and push it in, and then we'll close it up and start letting this grill warm up. Now let's get over here and season up this pork butt. All right, team, this is what it all looks like. Like I said, we actually just had just enough in this individual package here. You know, we always season them butts a little bit heavy with the seasoning. There's something for rubbing, but it's BT Leigh is what we use. Same thing that we had as far as that mustard sauce that we kind of use as the slather, and that it marinated in. So there was nothing that I needed to add. I took it out, discarded the extra, seasoned this puppy all over with all of this good seasoning, and we waiting on this pit to come up to temp and start getting me some clean smoke. Right now, I mean, it's only been about 10 minutes or so. It's definitely pumping out a lot of white. So I'm just gonna let it keep on going just like normal, and I'll bring you back here in a little bit. Hey team, you see it. We out here. We got my Meat Stick X in there, so we can be monitoring this temp as well as the internal temp and the external temp. We had got up a little high, a little over 300. So I cut it back a little bit, cut it back a little bit. And now with this being open, it's gonna drop down and we got some cold meat in there. I want to cook at about 250 all the way through. One thing that'll be nice about that Meat Stick X, it'll be able to kind of chart our temperatures. And pretty much what I went ahead and did is I put the bone side towards the flame, and we're gonna cook right here nice and pretty on this top rack. I'll get you some updates along the way, but this is a midnight cook. We're gonna let this baby go to sleep and let it do what it do, and we'll see what this charcoal basket has got. Hey, I just wanted to bring you in. We only about 30 minutes in. It looks like we might be cooking hot and fast tonight. When you look, I mean, I barely got a sliver of air coming through, but this baby is up, okay? My smoke don't look too bad coming out of there, so I ain't too mad at that. So I guess that matter more than anything. Hot and fast it is. Maybe we'll be going all day on the rack. All right, team. It is 5 in the morning. My Meat Stick X probe is registering me at about 133. I popped out here because it was saying I was down to about 225. I tell you, after that last time I came out here, you might notice this is a little back down pretty tight. As soon as I gave it a little bit of air, I start pumping up over 300. So I don't want to do too much. It said I was at about 225. You see my Tell True has me about, I don't know if you want to make that around 245-ish or something like that. So I'm good with that. We've been rolling along. It's been about, 2 hours and I think almost 40 minutes. I'm supposed to be sleeping, but of course instead I'm watching all my boys and different cooking videos and stuff, getting me a half nap in here and there. I'll come back later on. I'm not too worried. I literally have not peaked. We're going to do it together. Hey team, what's up? I had to jump in here real quick and I had to let you know, if you still following along right now, you just spent the night with Killer Miller Q, all right? It is early. I am tired. We've been rocking that charcoal management basket, and you know what? I got some real interesting things to tell you about this cook. But one way or another, we rolling. If you're new to the channel, or matter of fact, anybody else that hasn't done it already, take a second, go to that bottom right corner, like, make sure that you subscribe, and check out some of the other stuff that you done missed. But other than that, for everybody else, y'all know I appreciate y'all. Leave a comment, make sure you do a like, and let me know some of the other things that you want to cook. But other than that, let's get to the work. All right, this charcoal management basket is in pretty good. It held on for what it's worth. One thing I did notice though, a couple of those like baffle plates that kind of made that S-curve is already kind of losing some of its integrity after one cook. So I guess that's not the greatest, but they're pretty thin, so I'm not surprised. Like I said, they working next door, so it's gonna get loud, but we're gonna keep this thing pumping. So I took those little bit of coals that was left. I'm starting back with my coal bed. We're doing it just like every other time. We're gonna wait until we can get this good and burning well. It's already doing pretty well. My smoke's already looking pretty clean before I close this door up. And then we right back to doing what we always do. I still got about 45 minutes or so before I gotta add another split. So truthfully, I'm gonna go ahead and close this door, and I'm gonna go back on upstairs and go ahead and lay back down. Had to throw a log in, took a quick spritz. Had to let you see this amazing color we got going on here. I'm liking what we got going. You know, I'm trying to get a nice dark bark. We only at about 164, so we still got a ways to go. I'm planning on probably going all the way on the rack, but depending on what it starts looking like in time and how this color keeps looking, I might end up wrapping it up and we'll see. All right, 7 hours, 3 minutes. We rolling right along. About time for me to throw a log in. Yeah. The transition, I'll throw that in there right now. That transition, we'll just kind of wait for it to catch. That transition over from the charcoal basket over to wood was pretty smooth and easy. Like I said, I didn't have a ton of coals in there, but all I did was I started off with 2 of my smaller splits, crossed them across each other, left this thing wide open so it can breathe, and I just let it catch into a nice big flame and get going real good before I closed it up. Didn't want to get too much dirty smoke on there, but I mean, pretty much as long as you adhering to the fire management protocol, which is what you're seeing right now, you'll be all good. As soon as we add something low, especially when you get them low coals like that, don't rush to close that door. I'm gonna let this thing fully engulf in flame, and you're gonna notice all that smoke is gonna be up out of here. And while that door is open, I mean, you see what's coming out right now. I'm thin blue. I'm pretty much where you normally want to be, or normally I don't see anything coming out of here. So as long as you got that door open while you're doing that initial lighting, you'll be all right. But let's take a peek. Oh, sookin' now. I'm starting to get that bark I was looking for. I brought out my thermal pen just so I can also get me another reading. That went in there pretty easy. Okay, that's reading a little better than what I was getting on the that meat stick, which I was kind of expecting. I'm at 7 hours in this cook, a little bit over 189. Okay, let's try another spot. Let's try up here. Oops, I hit that bone a little bit. It's going in pretty easy. Okay, so maybe that meat stick wasn't too off. That's around the temperature. I was getting like 178, 179 out of the meat stick. Let's try another spot. 182, 8.5. Okay, so we got another 15-ish degrees to go. I'm probably gonna go somewhere between 190 and 195 and 200. I'm over here poking and looking, not even thinking about what I'm saying. You see that bone still sticking out a little bit, but it still got some room to go. Should I wrap or should I let it ride? I think I'm gonna go ahead and be brave. I'm gonna enjoy some of this good dark bark, and since it's still somewhat early, I'm not gonna worry. I'm gonna throw my logs on. We're gonna rotate this baby just a little bit, and we're gonna let it go. 9 hours and 15 minutes. My temps is kicking up a little bit. Oh yeah, we are there. We got bark on top of bark. I'm showing that I should be roughly at about 190. Oh my gosh, that's butter. Can we get a good read on this in the light? It looks like 194.4. I know you probably don't got a good view of that. Man, that feels soft. A little tighter right there. Where we at? Looks like I'm saying about the same. 194. And let's try this back. That's the warmer side. I think we about time to pull this thing out. I've got good bark. I'm sitting in the 190s, and I mean, as you can see, ooh, that's real tender right there. I feel like I'm pretty tender in all the spaces outside of right at the bone. So we about to get this baby off, and we about to start the rest process. First thing we're gonna do is check this thing out right here. Man, this thing has been sitting for about an hour. Pardon my shade, we bright already out here. 9.5 hours, and this baby is tenderoni. I can already tell just from moving it and stuff when it was warmer. And I done already tasted some of the bottom, as you have seen. I got bark for days, baby. 9.5 hours all the way on the rack. Let's go. All right, I'll try to bring you in here close so you can check this thing out. See if I can slip into these old tight gloves. And we're gonna see if we can't do the best part about pulled pork, which is, for me personally, I like to keep these things a little chunky. Keep me some nice big pieces. We about to slide to a party here today, so I'll make sure I take some of that so they can get a chance to sample some of this Killer Miller Q. And then I'm gonna put together me a little sandwich to get me by, because I'm a little hungry my damn self. Okay, you see the bark that we got on here. Like I told you, we had a lot of fluctuations, and we'll talk a lot more about the cook here when I talk more towards the charcoal management basket. We had some fluctuations in temperature. We've been kind of going back and forth on those all day, but more or less I was trying to go for 250, but if I had to guess for an average, I was probably somewhere between 275 and almost 300 for most of the time. Once I got back into just doing the normal sticks, obviously I was a little bit more normal and more towards my average. But let's get in here. This baby is tender. Oh my gosh. Let me see if this thing is focusing. I got no view because of how bright it is out here, but hopefully you can see how perfect that is tenderoni. You can see that bark. I can see a little bit of smoke in there. I gotta sneak me one. Oh yes. I want to leave this nice and chunky. Look how this just pull apart right there. That's exactly what you want when you do some pulled pork. We always looking for what? I'm about to show you. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna show you. That right there. A nice clean bone. You see how easy I took that down? No effort, no issues. That's what I'm gonna do. I definitely want to show you how clean we get the bone out. Otherwise, I ain't do my job. I'm gonna leave some of this pretty chunky so I don't dry out completely, even though I'm gonna be adding a little bit more sauce. Get rid of some of these little bit of fat that's in here, like this right here. We don't want to serve that to nobody. I'm gonna definitely keep me some barky pieces. Give me 1 second, let me do some pull. All right, team, check this out. I'm gonna try to stay out this shadow and everything. I left some of my bigger tubes and everything together just so I don't completely dry out. But I mean, you can see, man, this meat is glistening. Especially, I'm impressed because there's no injection. This baby sat on the rack. We talking about 9.5 hours of straight heat. There was some definite high points when we was at 350-ish early on with the fire management or the charcoal management basket. But after all, man, I'm still looking juicy. Literally, my whole cutting board is saturated. And you know it's gonna take forever to get that baby cleaned back up, but there's no issues. I'm gonna spin it around. I'm gonna throw this thing together. I didn't sauce this yet. We're gonna add on a little bit more of that, or actually we'll be adding on some of the, what's that, BT Leigh's, the Clevelander sauce. Shouts out to the old Cleveland, Ohio. And we're gonna be adding on, basically making me a small little sandwich with some of these homemade pickled onions. Let me tell you, if you don't know how to do this here, this will level up your barbecue quick fast, especially when we talk about like a brisket sandwich, a pork sandwich, or something like that. That's super easy. You know what? If it's something you want to see and you don't know how to pickle your own onions, let me know down in the comments. I'll put together a quick video for you. It's a little bit of nothing. But it's gonna turn this into class. We're gonna toss a little bit of sauce in that. I'm gonna pull out one of my Hawaiian sweet rolls. We're gonna top right there with some of that, and we're gonna go ahead and get us a taste. And then I'm gonna break down this old charcoal management basket and we'll get up out of here. All right, now we all spit back around. I always feel like it's not official if I can't see you and you can't see me. We're gonna throw together this sandwich real quick fast before these flies come and attack me. It's pretty early, so at the end of the day, I feel like they don't really be around early on. They like when it starts to cool down a little bit. All right, I'm gonna add a little more sauce to the area that I pulled. Now you could definitely add in some more seasoning. I mean, keep in mind, same type of idea. You can use your own recipe, use your own seasonings, whatever have you. Right now, this might be a time where you might throw in a little bit more seasoning. To tell you the truth, and I've tasted it obviously a few times, I like the flavor that I kind of got going on right now. And with all of that bark that I got mixed in there, things tasting pretty damn good. So I'm not too mad at it. I'm just gonna add a little bit of sauce so I get a little bit of moisture on these big old chunks. And then we're gonna quickly get this meat stick out of here. And by the way, that meat stick X did great. You know, I'm still going through it, even though I've tried to probably had it on about 5-6 cooks already. You know, I'm just learning to trust it. And it really does help out as far as always just knowing that ambient temp. I was able to kind of know that throughout the night without always having to come down. And obviously, it was pretty dead on for the area that it was in where it was probing. Even once I finally came down and checked with my thermopin, it's nice to have a guide. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna make us an easy sandwich here. So I got that pulled. I'm gonna take a nice, healthy Pitmaster handful of that there. We're gonna almost make it like a ice cream scoop ball. So I can actually get it on this thing. Just like that. Make sure I put some of that bark right on top. Boom. Okay? Put that back on my little napkin. And then take this glove off. Did I show you my bone? And I'm proud of this bone, man. I might keep that one. You might see me out in the street somewhere and I put a drill hole through that, and I might be wearing that on a necklace. We're gonna throw a couple of these pickled onions on here. And like I told you, let me know if you want to know how we made these. I mean, you can do them with jalapenos in there. You can put in, I mean, pretty much whatever you want. You can do some red pepper flakes if you want to make it with a little bit more heat. Whatever you want. You can throw some pickles in here. That right there is going to probably be respectful, just to add a nice little highlight on to where we at. And then, woo, give me a little bit of juice on there. I want to add just a little bit of that barbecue sauce right back on the top. Just so I got a nice amount of that. Bam. When I tell you that thing right there is official, I'm even going to bring you around Ooh. Well, I'm gonna bring it around. I'm coming to you. Don't worry about it. I got you. Let's see if we can get a focus in on what I'm about to play with right there. Okay. Squish this thing down a little bit. And let's see what this pulled pork tastes like. This thing is so juicy for being on the rack the whole time. It's interesting. Once you build that bark, it holds all that moisture in. That BT Leigh's, that BT Leigh seasoning got a nice little bite on there. And that sauce, it's got a little sweet, got a little tang. It's a little bit of everything you want. Where my sweat rag at? Let me tell you, it's hot out here. We're gonna move on to the next part. I'm gonna finish up now that you've seen what I'm doing for this cook. Bag some of this up, get ready to slide over to this party, and show them what Killer Millie can do. But other than that, I gotta tell you about this charcoal management basket. Let's get there. All right, let's talk about this old charcoal basket. That's right, don't even look at me funny. I told you I'm keeping this thing with me. So let's dive into what it was like trying to do the overnight with this charcoal basket. There was some good, there was some bad. First off, it worked. I got roughly, and check my math on this by going back in the video, brother been tired. But I roughly got about 6 hours of cook out of that. I did a half barrel full or half thing full of charcoal. The main thing I had heard from the few people that I did know that had these was that the fire can easily jump right over the top, so I didn't want to fill the whole thing up. And then the other thing is I figured that it could probably easily get hot. So I didn't want to give it too much fuel, and then on the end of the day, I can't calm it down. Still ended up happening. At the end of the day, I did halfway. I threw in my respectful knots. I had sprayed this thing down with Pam like you saw. I tried to give it like a little bit of baby seasoning. Now, thinking back on it, maybe when you had to do the seasoning on the pit, you got to do it at more or less low temps. We were trying to stay like around 225, 250. This was way above that. So that might have led to some of this blistering that we saw here, and I showed you on one of these individual little S curves. I can pull it out. Woo. This thing ain't been out in a while, but let me tell you, when it's 100 plus out here, I don't know if you can really see that, but I mean, I already got flaking and the metal pillar. The main thing is, and I never say this when it comes to this damn Lone Star, so it's kind of crazy. They're thin, right? Everything on that smoker is thick and it's heavy duty and it's built to last forever. And don't get me wrong, this basket is heavy. I don't think it's necessarily cheap, but when you think about what it is and what it's doing, what I think had happened, because it didn't take long, much like you saw in the earlier parts of the video, I was fighting temperatures from the moment I got it started. Then I was able to really choke it down, and I'm talking about the lowest I've ever closed that off with barely still having some air flowing through, and then I was able to get inside of 300. Otherwise, that thing wanted to go past 350 if I would have let it go, and which let me know that this thing is blazing. What I think easily happens is these plates are not that thick. Basically, all they're doing is conducting heat. Once you get that fire going and them red hot coals, and it's next to this metal, and this metal becomes red hot and so on and so forth, I think it's basically everything that's touching, and the ones that's touching on the wall that's right next to it, they catch on fire, and then basically you end up with the whole thing on fire, which is probably why I had such high temperatures, even though I had such a low amount of air in there. And when I'm doing with sticks, I never have that issue, even though I know this is a ton of fuel all in one area, but basically the whole thing caught on fire. Right? So the one thing that I quickly noticed was that maybe if it had thicker walls on these channels, it could actually funnel down that S curve without necessarily jumping over to the other lane. It would force it to stay in this lane before it can come around and then go down the other lane. It's kind of the idea, more or less what I was thinking. But with that said, I got 6 hours of cooking out of it. I mean, I think it took me roughly 45 minutes to kind of more or less get it going and feel like it was really rolling. And then I put it on, and then we cooked for about 9.5 hours or so, something like that. So at the end of the day, I can't be mad. The overall cook was 9.5 hours. I can't be mad at what I got out of the basket. So when I tell you to buy it, hey, if you think that you're going to be doing a lot of overnight cooks, you don't want to babysit that thing, I don't think it's a bad investment. Do I think that maybe Lone Star should look at this and then do some upgrades compared to how great that thing works over there? Definitely. this is some area that they can maybe make some upgrades and make this a little bit better overall and a little more user friendly. And this is one of the first things that instantly after one use, I'm like, oh, that's probably not gonna last that long for me. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily about to call tomorrow and see if I can get another one. Maybe I'll use it a few more times and see. Maybe I'll see that they got a brand new design. I know, right? Still got this thing. Maybe I'll see that they got a brand new design, and then I'll ask and see what does it take for somebody that's got the older one to switch up to the nicer one, right? Whatever it takes. But other than that, this is one thing that I would say, and I said the same thing about the idea I used to think that I wanted to get the Fireboard, and I said this in my review that I just did of the Lone Star. After having that thing, it cooks so easy and so smooth. Even if I was doing an overnighter, I'm only putting a log in every 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how hot it is outside, what temp I'm cooking at, how big the log it was, blah, 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 right? I can get me a nap real quick and come out there and throw a log in and do the little things that it takes and come on back and get me a nap, and I'd still get a decent amount of sleep. With that said, I'm somebody that don't sleep a whole lot in the first place. But I don't know if I necessarily need this. However, it's kind of nice to have. It was cool to be able to throw on. There's a great chance that maybe I need to dial this thing in a little bit to maybe get it to work a little bit more efficient than what I got on the first time. But with that said, I'm happy what I came out with, right? And then I also like being on the rack the whole time. I liked it having something that could more or less back me up. So overall, good thing, needs a little bit of work. And with that said, I'm trying it again. We're gonna figure it out, okay? All of the things I can tell you is, we got another good cook out the way. We're being back for another good review. I'm still holding on to this bone. And if you haven't, make sure you like and subscribe. It's Joe Mill here with Killer Miller Q. I appreciate y'all and I love y'all. Happy 4th. Peace.